second.
Great. Okay, here we go. So Zoltar, what's the rundown on these two people getting to this point in the tournament?
Well, DT's a scary monster. And Rhahi, I believe, was actually the one with the really interesting... There was the majority buyout, because I've watched all the games, even if I didn't commentate all the games, right? I've tried to watch at least as many of them as I possibly could. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first game of our 1v1 Winter Cup Finals. This is going to be a best of 5 featuring Rhahi and DeathTacticus. We've got PB here also providing commentary. But to answer your question, to answer your question, I don't know, DT's been DT the whole way through, right? He's a scary monster no matter what kind of game mode we've been talking about. And Rhahi, while considered a very, very strong player, I'm sure, by the community, maybe not exactly the player we would have expected to see in the finals. But after watching her game, she's been playing really smart games off-world, knows when to push for the majority buy, knows how to make the right investments at the right time. So in a lot of ways, maybe we shouldn't be surprised to see her here. I've just been staring at this
combo tiles
aluminum, this whole time. And I haven't really looked around the rest of the map. So what else is going on?
Well, the silicon's really far away from the combo tiles.
I want to point out the map size was set to medium because I didn't really notice that, but neither did anybody else while we were sitting there for 20 minutes. So,
are we going to restart?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no, but as long as nobody complains about it, it's all good. I want to see what they do with these combo tiles.
Yeah,
now, both of them clearly have a second location in mind because neither of them had found it until that exact moment. So Rhahi really wanted that scavenger spot. All right, no nukes. High, medium tiles for the carbon, and right next to some of the water.
The speed at which they bought up aluminum was breathtaking, by the way.
Yeah. Everybody knows to do that these days, right? It's one of those things you just got to get done. You got to get that aluminum purchased super fast if you can pull it off. Yeah. Now, let's see. Hanging on to a little iron there. So what did we end up with? DT went for the odd combination of going for slightly weaker iron production than was necessary. So we'll see what he does with that.
But he got a lot of starting resources and hit that upgrade super fast.
Oh, he did. He did. Split steel as well. Always a useful thing to do if you're going to be going for more than 2 steel mills. Usually you want to split them up if you can pull it off. So no big surprise seeing DT do that. We haven't seen a whole lot of that this tournament. So
yeah, I also like the expansive because even though when you think combo tiles you think robotic, but just the shipping costs of robotic versus the shipping costs of expansive are so great these days, at least.
No, they definitely can be. I mean, those faster ships, they're certainly useful for a variety of things and lowering those shipping costs. Yep. Definitely going to be one of them. Let's see, where is our silicon here? Because that was the big thing about the expansive found that I did not like, considering we were on the
pretty
medium
far
map.
Away. Yeah, and he can get in the way of Rhahi, or he's going even farther away than that. And that's about it.
That's not really going to be pleasant long term. Now, it's not warehouses at the colony, so silicon, while it'll be important for the upgrades, it might not be absolutely critical to maintain a decent economy, and DT still going to hit 3 before Rhahi pulls it off. Oh, man. So slowing down a little bit. Building those farms in particular, that's a pretty hefty investment. Can take a while to pay itself back with that glass cost attached.
Yeah, it's not quite getting as high as perhaps Rhahi would like here. And again, the colony putting pressure on electronics means you can't really abuse that too much when electronics started already high.
Yeah, certainly. Not an easy thing to take advantage of. That said, Rhahi is going to be set up. She's got the aluminum, silicon, and carbon that she would want to potentially produce electronics later on. We can see they're going to be an extremely profitable building if she pulls it off. Yep. DT, EMP'd on the reactors.
Yep, just as they're finishing up too, and they counter EMP on the farms.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I wonder if that was really worth it for Rhahi, because if she had not done that, she would have managed to push to the upgrade already, and I think there's definitely something to be said for just going ahead and getting to that upgrade fairly quickly. She should have it in just a little bit here, potentially sell down silicon.
Yeah, the reactors when they're finishing up weren't making a lot of money. It's just, well, then the water got sold down and it was a fake price, but
yeah, certainly. Well, she went for the freeze regardless. We'll see.
And it has the upgrade now, right? The auction.
Yeah, auction. So that's clearly in Rhahi's favor, although both these players will be interested in power at the moment. Also, geotherms, potentially more interesting than they normally would be, given that there are adrenaline boosts on the market. Yeah, 32,000 for that for DT.
DT can either cancel his other geotherm that's currently building for the claim if he wants it, or he can have just 2 DOs. Let's see what he does here.
Yeah, I'd imagine we're going to see the 2 geos. I doubt he'll be interested in...
Yep, 2 geos.
Okay, we're going to see the 2 geos. Now, of course, 1 geo has something to be said for it. With the adrenaline boost on the market, you can pick up a goon squad. You can try and fight over that. DT already in $68,000 of debt and gaining more debt pretty rapidly with his current power cost. He is going to have to pick up a goon squad, or Rhahi will be able to get aggressive against these, either with an EMP or a mutiny.
Rhahi doesn't have the money for an EMP, though.
She'll get there. She'll get
2, 3... Sells everything as it, but otherwise... There's the mutiny bot by DeathTacticus defensively, and Rhahi buys a goon instead for her own power, I assume. Yes. So.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Things are relatively peaceful. Relatively peaceful.
They're pretty calm at the moment. Not a whole lot going on just yet. I am a little bit concerned about Rhahi having had to sell down so much glass, as it's going to make it even easier for DT to upgrade. And DT also has that very strong electrolysis production online. He's not shipping enough to counteract that just yet, and so it should be a pretty good moneymaker for him. And I imagine at this rate, we'll see him probably hit 4 first, but that cheap scavenger upgrade always manages to find its way through. So level 4 for Rhahi, that's good for her. That's where you want to be as a scavenger.
DT hogging the water, even Rhahi is negative on it, so.
Yeah, no big concern about that right now with water being 26. Obviously, she can always scrap out of some of this food and move into water, as we're seeing her do now.
It seems a bit of pretty concern when you put 3 claims on it. Make that 5 total. 2 water pumps at the base.
A couple of those are wind turbines.
Oh, they are.
Interesting to me. So choosing to go for the ability to scrap the wind turbines into water, I find that a little odd, because it feels like we could have gone for wind turbines just kind of close to the base and work with that. They'd be much stronger wind turbines, but I suppose we're going to see how it goes. Adrenaline boost also hitting the geothermal plant. So an EMP lands on the carbon. Interesting choice. Obviously, that's going to be annoying. Circuit overload.
Well, DT saw the carbon price spike due to 1, the shortage, and 2, Rhahi buying it up. Maybe he didn't quite notice the carbon price was high. Maybe he didn't quite notice the spike, that it was artificial.
Yeah,
DT, of course,
that works out for him.
Had bought into oxygen to do this, and then sold out of his oxygen during the short.
It's a weird one to figure out, how to evaluate the value of that circuit overload. It's going to land on the geothermal plant for 2 minutes. Probably pretty decent for Rhahi. The downside, of course, to picking up the circuit overload is it kicks you further away from making power money. That seemed like something that Rhahi was interested in. She was committing a lot of resources to try and get that power production up. But the upside is obviously put DT a little bit further into debt. If you go ahead and knock that power price down while he's in a significant amount, maybe he'll just stay there and you'll be set for smooth sailing the rest of the game. But with his fuel, oxygen, and food costs covered, I don't see DT having that problem this game.
Yeah, and he's even hogging the fuel just to make that just a little bit more difficult for Rhahi.
Yeah, Rhahi is doing quite a bit of shipping and claiming that water a little bit away from her base rather than just sticking to the stuff right next to her. It's understandable. She doesn't have a large number of tiles next to her, but it does mean it's just a little bit of extra shipping long term. DT finally sells out of some of that fuel.
He has to. He was forced to. Yeah, the EMP forces the fuel cell, because otherwise you're just wasting that money to debt.
It's all just burning away. Pleasure Dome also coming down with the Goon Squad. We've got our little diner coming up for DT.
Yeah, very cute.
Oh, man, we should be seeing HQ5 pretty fast here. We've had a bit of a sluggish route there. Rhahi could probably... Oh yeah, DT's going to hit there just about now. Metal Mine Mutiny. That's an interesting one. It's pretty late in the game for a Metal Mine Mutiny, and Rhahi, of course, has plenty of carbon. Still decent value on that thing, though.
I think the goal was to try to get the aluminum to spike when Rhahi upgraded, but he had enough, so it was fine.
Yeah, just a little bit late on that front, unfortunately. DT's let Steel get up to 105, but he's still doing okay on that production. And Electronics finally comes down this game.
Yeah, I was wondering when that was going to happen.
I'm still annoyed that this low was taken instead of this medium low, but whatever. Let's see. Man, an interesting EMP once again to me. So this is going to be, I suppose, reasonably effective at knocking out... I mean, it knocks out the life support production, and that's great, but it feels like a failure to commit to the EMP earlier from hitting this carbon. You can keep hitting the carbon again and again and again. Make it difficult for Rhahi to get into the electronics for some time. Make it difficult for her to make the rotations.
Yeah,
and instead, he just gave up on it.
Yeah, that carbon's up to $96, and that's basically accurate.
Yeah. Nobody's managing to manipulate that price very much right now. It's very strange to me to switch directions in that
Well, this
fashion.
is my favorite type of auction.
Oh yeah, this is the best auction. Optimization Center?
DT
We'll go crazy for these.
buying up the chemicals immediately, just in case either he gets it or doesn't.
It also helps out with his patent lab that he's working on right now. So if he buys up to those 80 chems right now, he could get teleportation, the 80 chems, that lets him get multiple different patents if you would like them. So it's just a nice amount to have stockpiled overall.
Yeah. Getting one of every special building, it seems, for DT.
All the advanced buildings, just all of them. And I mean, it's probably feels like that kind of game. DT has a significant advantage, and he has all kinds of different routes he can go. As an expansive player, of course, he has the extra claims to get this kind of thing done. And so, why not? Just one of all the things.
Killing the iron production just a little bit more, but he has plenty of... let's see. Yeah, it's starting to look a little scary for Rhahi right now.
Yeah, things are not looking pleasant. Rhahi was just never able to really get any kind of significant advantage this game. I think part of that was the failed power play that didn't make up any money at all. And honestly, it was just maybe felt a little bit misguided with the idea of going into 2 wind turbines and adrenaline boosting the geotherm at the same time. It just didn't feel really necessary as it turned out. And I feel like that sort of thing slowed her down maybe a bit too much to keep up with DT. She's still in this game, but things are looking pretty grim. And DT's going for the kill.
Yeah. The EMP lands on everything except the hacker array, which he should be able to leverage for that kill, indeed.
Yeah, he's not buying into the hack right now. So he's just he's got his money set aside. He's looking at... I imagine he'll be buying into it fairly soon. He can't wait forever on it because Rhahi will see the hack coming.
Indeed.
Oh, there we go. Pleasure Dome making 450 with that virtual reality. And the adrenaline boost. Yeah, it turns out Pleasure Domes are pretty good. Who would have guessed? All right.
That's basically an off-roll, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, it is basically an off-world right now with the adrenaline boost on top of it, and I'm quite concerned for Rhahi. That said, she only needs about 10,000 more.
The boost on the electronics, it's gonna be close.
That electronics boost
has defense. Oh, that's cruel.
That's interesting.
If Rhahi sells out, she has the defense, so it's fine, right?
Yeah. She should be fine. DT's nowhere close to taking her down.
What?
You bid on teleportation there. For the record.
Your stock is being sold.
For the record, you bid on teleportation there. You just bid on it, and then you've got it, and then it's good. Like, no matter which of these players you are, teleportation is a good thing to have. It's going to save you fuel costs, so you can make more money from fuel if that starts spiking again, and it's going to give you access to those primary resources just a little bit sooner. It's well worth $7,000 of debt.
They're both burning about 1.2, 1.4 fuel every second. Both of these players.
It's just good. And Rhahi, I'm seeing spike up to like 1.8. It's just take it. Just take it. Just grab it. It's going to be okay. I get that we're very focused on the fact that maybe a majority buyout is going to ruin the whole thing. But you can't let that kind of thing distract you. Rhahi looks like she's headed for an off-world market with how she's got her resources distributed right now. Meanwhile, DT, that seems to be the only thing he hasn't considered, although Thinking Machine's going to be picked up in about 40 seconds. Maybe that'll encourage him to make that transition.
Of course, my game with Rhahi, I thought, I'll have everything except the off-world, and then suddenly Rhahi had 2 off-worlds, and it's like, oh,
that's gonna murder me, as it turns out. Yeah.
DT's
not
getting
really
his
a pleasant
off-world
thing.
now. And
That's a good call, I'd
Rhahi
say, if
just
you're going to
put
commit
it
to the
down.
thinking machines, especially. How are we looking for off-world prices now that we're...
chemicals, actually.
Chems are actually super strong, yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. So chems are one of those things that pops up occasionally. It's not as likely to be up there as your basic life supports, but it has a better chance than most things to be expensive, and well, it's going to bear out this game, even with DT having consumed so many of them. Still an extremely profitable market.
Electronics short, despite Rhahi being quite into the electronics, is interesting.
That feels misguided to me. I'm actually kind of completely confident calling that a mistake.
They're both shift selling this down, so
Yeah, that's just a waste of a tile at this point and a waste of money. If it was going to short anything right now and try and interfere with Rhahi, because it feels like you pick electronics in part because if you make that more expensive, then your opponent might have a little bit of a harder time getting into an off-world. But if you're going to go that route, then why not just short the glass? Because they're not making that at all.
Rhahi actually has the electronics upgraded, so she's making more electronics
she's
than
making
DT.
more money. Exactly. It's that optimization center. We'll have to see how much that plays into things this game. The fact that she does have the optimization center. DT obviously also has one, but he has not been making good use of it from what I've seen. I think he's had it up for a very long time. But he only has one optimization finished at this point. Meanwhile, Rhahi has 7 optimizations done and is trying to get a little bit more carbon optimized. That high carbon price getting in the way of her potentially getting down a second off-world, as it would cost about 170,000 right now.
Continue to improve.
Seem to be a little bit of expensive pirates for carbon, but you know, hey.
No, carbons.
Rhahi wants a second off-world, I guess, and 100 extra carbon will help that get there.
Yeah.
There's also
man,
mules for 3k if you wanted, 400 carbon as opposed to 100 carbon.
Another mutiny on the optimization center. That's interesting to me because it feels to me like adrenaline boosts are really what you're looking at for most of the rest of this game, especially because that optimization center, I know it doesn't come up a whole lot, but it still gets the benefit from the thinking machines. And it's not going to be a particularly effective mutiny on that location.
Well, as these prices get higher on the chemicals, no one's actually making them, despite shipping them off-world.
DT, nah, he's got a couple chemical refineries down, and they're actually making really good money.
Oh yeah, oh there they are. Yep, I just.
Yeah, the
I'm just
adrenaline
deaf.
boost on those
Go
is being quite useful. And he's already got the efficient chems, so not a whole lot of optimizations for DT, but maybe he just happens to have the right two. Water's also gone a little crazy on
Yeah,
us.
Rhahi with the giant water buy.
Oh,
Water
surplus
is
coming in,
negative
though.
on the map, technically.
Open for business.
Now, it looks like Rhahi's going to be stuck on this one off-world. She's going into a patent lab after superconductor. That's,
There's
That
not a
feels
lot
like-
of patents left. I mean,
It's a little bit late for this to me, though. Is nanotech still on the board? It's not. DT took that away, so that's a really hefty commitment of resources.
there
Pretty much no matter what's being picked up.
there always is this chance late game that your opponent has forgotten about power. And right now, with both these people negative on power, it's possible to pull us off some sort of weird power play here, if DT doesn't notice.
But Rhahi, it feels like Rhahi's playing like she has an extra 2 minutes to spare this game, and that's just not the case. I mean, DT's barreling down. He's got 200,000. He's halfway to finishing this off. Needs 200,000 more to clean up the game. Finally, the adrenaline boosts are starting to come down on the off-worlds. We've made a transition to the chems, but it feels like it's all just going to be too little too late. DT has the stock price. He's got most of Rhahi's stock purchased up already. His 2 off-worlds have been running for a very long time. Rhahi, while she has some cash on hand, so much of that is committed into this off-world market, and there it goes. She hasn't been making these stock buys that she needs to make, and it still feels like she's just running a little too far behind.
Production. Successful off-world shipment.
And,
Nope, D-debt for Rhahi too. Triple power production.
yeah, and DT did notice the power situation. He has gotten down some more power somewhere.
Yeah, he's got an extra geotherm up.
Yep.
He's running on 3 geotherms at this point. Meanwhile, Rhahi, with some upgraded power with superconductor, I don't think any of these... I'm not crazy, right? None of these buildings are making power. So we switched into a patent lab, picked up superconductor, and then just abandoned the whole thing.
Yeah, the wind turbine transition did try to go down there, but it got frozen out.
Let's continue to improve.
Yeah.
But the GG is called, and it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. I mean, I'm not really surprised by the result.
Seal short to seal the deal.
Yeah, that'll finish us off here for sure. Once again, if Rhahi had 2 or 3 more minutes, things could have worked out. But DT, even with that extra geotherm coming up, he did a good job securing that. The launch is going to go off. And DT takes game number 1 in our best of 5 series.
Yep.
Nice solid opening from him.
Nice indeed. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, DT with the whole 4 optimizations versus Rhahi's 14, despite again having that optimization center up for about as long as I think. Well, Rhahi was taken over with the mutinies on the optimizations, right? So maybe that's what was going on.
Yeah, she did do some of that at least. Still felt a little, and it was just the 1 mutiny though. On the optimization center, so not particularly effective. I genuinely think that it's a little bit slow on his optimizations. I saw him building the thing. Maybe some spare EMPs, like were incidentally hitting it sometimes, but still a little bit late on the optimizations. But it wasn't enough to make a difference, quite clearly, as just getting to those off-worlds was pretty key this game.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Not too much more to look at there. Bid on teleportation when it comes up as an auction. Serious. Okay. I genuinely think it might have mattered. Like,
Yeah, I mean.
did DC send me a message about the map? I need to check these things. What did he say? Mars next. Okay, good.
Mars next. Okay.
Means I happened to make it with the right map. What do you know?
So, have you tried out the limited supply DLC at all? Have you played around with those?
Would you know that I have? Would you know that I have a lot?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
about
boy.
2/3 of the way through. I really like the hidden package mission, or the missing package mission. Do you remember that
That's good. That's good. Oh yes, I know that one.
one? Yeah.
That one was it was intended as a nice little change of pace from everything else, you know? That was the basic idea behind that one.
So we're gonna be
Small
playing.
map size.
Yep, small
That
map
is so
size,
true.
and maybe also
Observers.
Yeah.
I gotta change DT to Team 7.
It also gives me excuse to talk in weird, silly voices, which makes regular voice seem a little less silly. So I like that apart. Those cute little missions too.
Yeah.
We weren't in small last game. Shh. They're just noticing.
Look, I only just now noticed.
Hey, I had no idea.
See? It's fine.
I guess so.
You don't have to worry about it. It's all good. I honestly don't think, like, both players were able to find kind of reasonable locations. It wasn't, that's why we found it so late, says DT. Yeah, because everything was super
so.
spread out. But you know what? They were both playing on the same map. So,
Yeah, the founding money seemed really high for combo tiles on the map, but you know, I probably would have gone in at 30k and 30k debt and then died horribly to it. So,
of course it can. Yeah, I know, right? That's probably what I would have done too.
yeah.
Match definitely counts. Let's not be
Those
silly
old
here.
habits of way back in the day when combo tiles were an instant win, huh?
But even if I lost, it would count. Of course it would count.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah, combo tiles when you could take 150 debt and then not die because,
Yep.
well, 10% interest ticks and it's not like anything bad happens.
Yep.
As long as my opponent can't kill me.
That's how it used to
All
be.
right, everyone. Welcome to game number 2 in our best of 5 series between Rhahi and DeathTacticus. DeathTacticus taking game number 1 on a medium-sized map, which now has been changed to small. Thankfully, neither of our players seemed to even notice the first time around, so hopefully it was all right. PB Head is still here with me.
Indeed. Chemicals and power,
scientist.
making Scavenger look really tasty.
Yeah, I'm really tempted by Scavenger. Just kind of glancing around the map. It's really what I want to be. Now, the interesting thing is aluminum is super awkward this game, so I'm kind of hoping we see a pretty early found here on top of all this aluminum.
As Nomad,
All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So DT is going to go for the scav location. He was potentially ready for that aluminum to get crushed. I'm sure he'll figure things out. Did he get his buy done?
he did. Rhahi did not.
Yeah. Rhahi, it looks like just a little bit slow on that, but she went ahead and grabbed the electronics
Indeed.
rather than the aluminum. I'm not sure about that decision.
And you need
think
the
it might-
electronics to upgrade, and
You do. But you grab the aluminum, right? You know that you've just made it so your opponent can't take aluminum, like, at all on the entire map. And so you do the buy really quick, then you let them do the buy, get the upgrade, then you sell down, and you've got more than enough for your electronics. And I don't know. I'm not sure about it.
now, there is something to be said that, Rhahi does have to put down 2 bases to DeathTacticus' 1, so maybe she just
That's
couldn't
true.
get fast
That's true.
enough before, because DT is instant on that aluminum buy, so... And he was instant to found as soon as Rhahi put down that first HQ, so...
That is a fair point. So both players have access to our black market at this point, but neither of them making a huge amount of money right now. Nobody in the lucrative market that is chemicals. And let's see, DT I think has a
2 chems.
major advantage though. There he is.
Yeah,
there
that's
he
some
is.
good
He's got
money.
two. That's
That's
going to be some really good money. I think he's going to be set up in a really strong spot
oh, yeah.
off of those.
Going into
Rhahi just now getting into chems.
the massive
And you can
advantage
see
going
she's
into the
having
power
trouble
mid-game.
with it. Yeah, exactly. Like, I really think DT's in a great spot here because HQ2, he's going to get down those chems. That's going to be fine because he's got the carbon to support them. HQ3, he's going to be able to easily just slide into power. And that's combined with the fact that he's getting cheap upgrades. Rhahi also getting cheap upgrades in terms of the electronics price, but
Rhahi
it's such a
burning
big difference.
literally all of the money in order to get down that EMP.
Feels good, though. DT went with a claim purchase for his first black market. And I don't know if that was correct. Oh, he's already moving into wind
Power,
turbines.
yeah,
So that's what
well,
that was about, yeah.
And
You wanted to go ahead and get the double wind turbine down right now.
I love the water combo into the wind turbine later. Yep, very nice.
Every time I look at Rhahi's base, she's building new buildings. And I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah, those used to be 3 aluminums, and now they're
Yeah. Now there are 2 chem refineries. And I swear there was a chem refinery coming up on this medium earlier. And
And if DT does anything, he'll build electrolysis reactors and hold the fuel price against Rhahi, shutting her out of the game.
yeah, he should be in a really good spot to do that. He can also do like the same thing with carbon. Honestly, if I'm in this spot as DT, I may genuinely be looking at, can I just build a hack array on HQ3? Is that possible? Can I just start playing around with that right now? Or do I have to go ahead and hit 4 first? Because look at how much money he's going to be making. So much off these wind turbines and chem refineries and reactors for the stage of the game.
Another claim for DeathTacticus and buying into the steel for the shortage. For more wind turbines. And
Sure,
is making
why not?
money off power. Rhahi is getting into solar panels now.
Sold.
It's interesting to me that he has not made any effort whatsoever to defend his wind turbines, and he's not going to be able to. If Rhahi would like to, she will be able to disable them with an EMP very easily.
She technically has the money. I'd also be worried about these solar panels. They're, well, vulnerable, if you will.
They are indeed pretty vulnerable, which means Rhahi, it looks like, went ahead and bought a goon squad. Interesting positioning on that, dropping it on the reactor. These buildings are switching again. I mean, it's understandable. There's a chem surplus, but still, it's painful to see you having to swap buildings so much this early in the game, and DT just steaming on ahead. 10,000 up over Rhahi, with plenty of extra claims purchased as well. I believe he's picked up 2 to Rhahi's 0. Count on that the additional claim he had from founding second, and things looking real bad for Rhahi.
The steel scavenger is on the table.
That is happening. Well, I mean, there was a steel shortage. It's on the table. You may as well make some money, right?
2 in a row, in fact.
Yeah.
And these are
Plenty
completely
of
natural.
steel shorting. Yeah. That's pretty special. And with an iron surplus, which is just, we're throwing all kinds of random events at these players that they're going to have to deal with this game, apparently.
Yeah, and they're all in DT's favor. Every single one of them.
DT finally picking up his second aluminum tile. I mean, Rhahi could make steel pretty easily. She really, really wanted it to.
From iron from where?
You don't need iron. Iron's cheap. You just buy iron.
Well, the second DT sees the steel mills go down, you know that iron price is not going to be so low.
That's why she buys like 300 iron ahead of time. And then you just sit there on it, right? You call it good.
The farms are sometimes not working because they're out of water.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, there you go. HQ4. So Rhahi's going to be looking to secure a little bit more water probably on this level. She's still stuck in these reactors, which she's actually building an additional reactor.
Despite the, they're negative.
I mean, I definitely want to get into this aluminum, right? That looks really nice. Grabbing this aluminum right now, but I'm not so sure about sticking to these reactors. These are not looking particularly pleasant. We could instead be making
Glass?
maybe some.
Food?
Yeah, I mean, you could do glass. I'd kind of lean food myself. All right, she's going into a third farm at least.
Fair enough.
I don't know. It's all sketchy to me.
Yeah,
Maybe even
DT's
just
going
return
into-
it and get that pleasure dome down, you know?
Right. Does have 4 returns. Could be used anywhere.
Except on those goon squads.
I suppose so. Can
Even
you?
you suppose so.
Well-
You can't use return a claim on goon squad.
Really?
It's just not possible. Yeah, you're not allowed to, because you're like, no, you defended that tile.
Interesting.
You've got it. You're sticking to it. I guess it's like insurance partially against the player, just getting rid of their own tile. Maybe a little bit of a mistime on that EMP. You can pretty easily cancel out of all these farms if you really want to. Maybe switch them out for the reactors.
Yep.
But it looks like DT is just going to stick into it. Anyway, oftentimes what you like to do there is let it run for just a hair longer, let like one of the buildings finish up, and then your opponents put in kind of an awkward situation of whether or not they want to cancel and actually lose some legitimate resources there. DT, Patent Lab again. With the Rubik's Cube. Look, this is still like my favorite part of pretty much any DLC that's ever happened in this game.
I don't know. I kind of like the swing music of the Pleasure Dome.
No, that's fair. I'll give you that too. But I really like the Rubik's Cube that solves itself in order to learn patents. Thinking machines immediately. Oh yeah, I guess we're looking at pretty decent off-worlds. And ooh, but Rhahi's actually going to get to 5 first.
Oxygen seems to be the launch. Yeah, we got Rhahi with the aluminum semi-monopoly.
Yeah, it's the aluminum. Yeah.
Another steel short.
Soren, I know you're out there. What's happening?
That is some RNG. That is some RNG.
I mean, DT scrapped out of it. Now he's just going into farms. So that's what I'm talking about with Rhahi, though. So she is going into extra farms, but she's still in these reactors. And I really don't like the reactors right now. I mean, water's already kind of precarious, and that means you've got 8 buildings down that are going to be consuming water, while your opponent also has 8 buildings down that are going to be consuming water. It just feels bad to me.
For both these players, the only thing these reactors are doing are just churning through debt in a weird way, right?
You know, and not very much debt.
Exactly. They're just canceling out the oxygen costs and the fuel costs, which just costs water and power. It's very strange for both these players.
Well, 3 seconds until Thinking Machines is going to be finished on up. Let's see, it's Dynamite this time instead of Mutinies. Obviously, Thinking Machines still potentially quite potent. Rhahi does go ahead and start on that Pleasure Dome now that we're up at HQ5. That's going to be making some decent money once it's online. Obviously, there's no expansive this game, but still, 166 is not the worst tile on this map by a fair margin. And look, it might be the best tile on the map, I'm just saying.
DT hogging the electronics, but I guess he saw the electronics short coming, huh?
Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's just like, oh, short's coming in. DT, being a good player, pays attention to that sort of thing. And so he'll go ahead and respond to it with his little scavenger bonus that nobody ever remembers exists because pretty much only players up at this level actually can manage to exploit it correctly. Carbon scrubbing for 32,000. I like that for DT. Why not? I think that was
He's
worth quite a
scavenger.
lot. He
Yeah.
had no debt, right?
Right now, he actually has no carbon production, right? So
Yeah.
he has enough.
Details, right?
I mean, yeah.
And his opponent, of course, has very bad carbon production, so that's also...
I would expect this nanotechnology to come down any second for DT if he's gonna stay
I'm a
out
little
of
bit
the
surprised he
carbon.
hasn't started it already, to be honest. Maybe it's just that he wanted to get to that upgrade, but he's not having trouble finding money, so I do find it a little weird. This Patent Lab's just sitting here idle. He's clearly focused on other things at the moment. So more water production coming down. Don't really like that, but we'll see how it goes for him. Pleasure Dome is fine, and Nanotech finally does get started for DT. Back into the elemental quarries for the carbon.
Yeah.
That's all fine. These reactors, man.
Electronics for Rhahi. There were other better buildings, but you know that's okay.
I think that was partially in response to the shortage that was happening. Maybe not understanding that like DT had a lot of them bought up and it wasn't actually quite that good. And, you know, that kind of thing can trip you up sometimes.
I suppose it's possible. Glass kilns get frozen. So the silicon.
The black market is
So I'm a little concerned about Rhahi because I haven't really seen the late game from Rhahi yet. We've got one optimization. Sure, we've seen that one optimization matter, but we've also seen situations like last game where it just wasn't anywhere near enough to make a difference in actually pulling off the victory. Meanwhile, DT, with this patent lab down, I can see a more clear route here forming, right? He's got thinking machines. He's going to have nanotech with carbon scrubbing. That really opens up the off-world for him.
Oxygen
and
food are
allows him
great
to finish up the
launches.
game. Yeah, exactly. And so I see his path. I see his plan, I think. And I know what he's up to. Meanwhile, Rhahi, I haven't seen the transition. We're only just now seeing the patent lab come down from her. So I guess we'll see what she wants to do with that.
Well, it's not going to be teleportation. And it's not going to be a lot of the other things. Virtual reality,
Yeah.
superconductor. I mean,
We can do that. I mean,
there isn't
what
really
are
a
we
lot
gonna see?
left.
She has superconductor queued up once again, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. Power's still not all that interesting, and of course she still has a geotherm down off elsewhere on the map, so... But we're going superconductor one more time. Let's have to see what combos with that. I probably would have been more tempted by virtual reality myself.
Yeah,
but,
or geothermal borehole, which is now up for auction, given that she has the geo.
yeah, but it's like way out there, and borehole itself
They-
not all that interesting.
They
unless you can
actually
use it.
bid on the auction this time.
She did go ahead and pick it up for 7,000. It was probably about worth it.
Yeah,
Now my question is, if you bid for geothermal borehole in this situation, why didn't you bid for teleportation last time?
I know. And it's exactly the same time, you know, so it's the $7,000 auction.
It is, it is. That D-debt for Rhahi is a bit of a concern. Maybe this is part of what's driving the super decision, is this concern about debt, but power's just not healthy enough to really save you on its own. You're going to have to put some actual cash into that. And oh boy, I never liked the double farms this late in the game. I saw a discussion about that on Discord earlier, and I was like, no, it's actually terrible. I don't even want to hear it. It's just so bad. You're not making any money on these things.
It's just keeping the debt away, that's it.
That's all it gets done.
the black market.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Rhahi does have a cash advantage still, which cannot be discounted. I think a lot of that is because of DT has put so much cash
Plus
into
another-
picking up all these patents.
Plus another 20k due to the stock.
Yeah. Which is, it's certainly nice, but you can see it's just a slim advantage, and now it's weird as she probably picked up like an optimization or a patent or something along those lines.
They're both looking, their resources are looking like an off-world. Both of them.
Routine successful.
Yeah, they're both setting up for it pretty clearly. Maybe Rhahi will finally get rid of these electrolysis.
Line.
Drop an off-world under one of them.
And they both have the hologram saved up to be sneaky about it, too.
Ooh. Arguably a bit of a misposition. I don't think it's even arguable. I'd call that a bad position out of DeathTacticus. He does have thinking machines, and when you put down a building like the Optimization Center, they like to take advantage of the patents that you picked up. Just small detail once again.
Well,
Let's see. DT, he still has those 3 water claims, right? Yeah, he's still operating on the 3 water claims. I never liked the 3 water claims, personally.
it's just
But it
like
seems to be working out okay for him.
food buy for DT, which
Optimization
seems
center
reasonable.
is ready. Time to start.
So slant drilling is what Rhahi was really interested in picking up. And this is why I don't like the 3 claims usually. Because you can just grab like slant drilling and maybe an optimization or 2 and you're going to be in a great spot and you didn't have to spend a whole extra claim for it.
And, well, the first hack array on the map after the off-worlds are already down.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Oftentimes you'll see a hack array a little sooner. Like, been used for glass quite effectively earlier in the game in particular. Maybe try and use it with chems effectively when your opponent's doing researchy things and you can hack those chems up and make chems yourself.
It seems a little cheap, only 32k for this, given that building it costs 10k and then the claim costs 16k.
Yeah, but Rhahi's in an absurd amount of debt. I mean,
True.
she just,
Can't afford it.
yeah, it's just about affording it, and
Can't risk
she's
the
definitely not in that spot.
off-world getting targeted, huh? Of course, the hologram to defend it has not gone down.
Advanced our production.
Well, I guess you're not worried about the hologram for the time being. Maybe you're that second off-world, right? Your opponent should expect you to have one, but maybe they aren't going to be sure that you're going to build two, so you use the hologram for that one instead.
It seems reasonable. Has the electronics is currently selling down the glass for it though.
Now that these are finally up, we can see we're still looking at 43k launches for both the oxygen and the food for the time being.
That's some good money.
That is some good money. Optimization center, a second optimization center from Rhahi.
We're not surprised.
Of course, you know,
Pointed in you.
when the hacker array you buy, oh, there it finally goes on the oxygen shortage. There we go. And
Well, another big concern I have for Rhahi, by the way, is that she's had this one carbon tile working the entire time. Looks like she finally just returned a solar panel. Where'd she put that? That went onto iron. Wanted to open up that iron resource. I can understand that since it looks like your opponent's hacking iron at this point and definitely has access to it. But I really would have liked to see another carbon tile come down at some point this game. Fight over that market a little bit more effectively.
especially when she lost the carbon scrubbing.
Yeah, that was a really big deal. A really big moment in my opinion.
And even use the slant drilling on DT's carbon and swap out of her own carbon for the cost of slightly more fuel, I suppose.
So don't really like the fact that these dynamites are landing on things like this pleasure dome, rather than maybe making a bit of an effort to break through here. I guess you've just given up on fighting over the off-world that much. But if you're in that position, I don't really see how you end up winning this game. And Rhahi's off-world market finally
Explodes.
Yep.
The very awkward situation where they both have 100% for a majority buy, and just refusing to buy that last stock to defend themselves.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you've got good players, right? They know that they don't have to make that purchase, and so they're simply not going to, while they can use that money to do other things like off-world markets and get optimizations going. And
It is
so on
also
and so forth
nice,
from there.
you know, when you can have that
Market is assembled.
percentage number just so you sort of get a relative idea of how much money they currently have, right? By buying into that last stock, you no longer get to
That's
see
fair.
that money. You no longer get to see that number.
The black market is open for business.
That's fair.
The pleasure dome is fully operational.
Well, things are still looking really good for DT. I don't know how else to say it. Rhahi's had this debt problem the entire game that she's never really managed to sort out. She's just been one step behind since around HQ4, with DT making the move into the patent lab. Rhahi got up to 5, but wasn't able to get a whole lot done with it. Still wasn't able to push to the off-worlds ahead of time. So DT, he was securing tech in order to support his off-worlds, and then still won the race to the off-worlds themselves. And at that point on this Martian map, as Rhahi, things have been looking really, really grim.
Rhahi does have the massive optimization advantage, but it's just not going to be enough here.
Make room for the
Yeah, well, we've seen 2 games in a row she's made this move into big optimizations. And optimizations certainly have mattered, and mattered arguably even more in the first game. They just have not been enough to make up for what she's been giving up in order to get all of this done. There hasn't been maybe a hacker array to go with them and try and force prices a little bit more effectively. And the optimizations themselves just not making enough money, because once those off-worlds come online, the game ends very quickly before the prices really start to catch up to the off-world.
Yep, that generally tends to be the case.
the black market.
The defensive hacker array play, despite not actually having any electronics down for Rhahi. I'm not quite sure what that was about.
The pleasure dome is completed.
I'm going to lower the price of electronics, says
Goes
DT.
on in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Felt like, hey, this is a market. I don't need it.
And
Get
the
outta here. I
Carbon
don't know.
shortage was canceled
What a payout.
for a food shortage.
Sure, why not? Food shortage.
Center is ready.
I mean, you've frozen your opponent's farms out.
Everything.
They're launching off-world. You're launching off-world, but your farms aren't frozen. It's all right.
Yep.
And either way, you're sitting pretty as DT right now. You feel like you're in a fairly confident position. Now it's a water shortage, which is also going to do absolutely nothing. But at least DT's trying.
Yeah, he's trying to move it around. Like, there's no
Now-
spy, so Rhahi doesn't know that DT is doing this, but
Yeah, that DT is accomplishing effectively nothing. That iron eventually got returned, by the way. So maybe the move for DT, if he wanted to make more use of this, was to get back into deal and start going nuts on that with the hacker array.
Perhaps.
Either way, things are still looking pretty great from him. He's having trouble making money right now. After he got frozen out for a while, he had to make some transitions.
Now,
but once the
this
off-worlds
could be huge.
get their next launch,
The water
What are we
shortage
looking at?
completes. Rhahi has a large stockpile of water. If DT buys into this water, it
no,
could
he
be...
could immediately lose the game, and
Yeah.
it would be absolutely hilarious. Well, I don't know about immediately. He still has a very large cash advantage right now, but it doesn't look like he's making the risk of buying into that water shortage. Just
See if he remembers when it finishes here. No, he's just... DT did buy in, and Rhahi did sell out.
but
But just
a small
negligible quantities. It's,
amount. Yeah, completely irrelevant quantities, unfortunately. So,
DT then sells out of his own stockpile and junks the price on Rhahi instead of the other way around.
we did combo this with some pirates, I suppose. So that's something, I guess. I mean, black market's gotten pretty pricey. There were not a whole large number of tools to get aggressive with this game. Pirates and magnetic storms both, of course. But not being used very much, unfortunately. Teleportation will do that in 1v1s, I suppose. 62,000 on that food launch right now, by the way.
And
DT takes game number 2.
very
Go
good.
up 2-0 in our best of 5. Yep. Pretty straightforward from him. I think we've seen... I mean, that was basically the same strategy as last game. Just switching up the details of it based on the faction that he was playing.
I love these auto-off farm situation of DT's base. It's just like I have 7 farms, 5 of them are off, but that's just because of the cell.
But it doesn't matter because 62,000. Just throwing that number out there, 62,000 on that launch.
It's a good amount of money.
Launch.
Yeah,
That's a good
$1,000 a
launch.
second.
It's just a good launch.
Yep.
You know, it's fine. Told you you're going to win a lot. Well, Rhahi, he hasn't won enough.
He has to win one more.
Has to win one more. So let's go ahead and see if he's going to pull it off.
Or could Rhahi go for the reverse sweep?
Oh, that is the other option here. Well, yeah, it's the only other option here.
That is the only other option.
It's just-
It has happened in these tournaments. I
It has
remember
happened. It has
me
happened.
versus
It's happened a
Zap,
lot.
I think, yeah.
Oh, man. That
Way
was so
back
long
in the
ago.
day.
PB, we're literally turning into like 3 years ago now. Start talking back that far.
Oh, man. Okay, is Rhahi picking the map, I suppose?
Yeah, Rahi's going to be picking the map, so I'm waiting to,
Make the lobby, fair enough.
yeah. Because I don't know the map.
Well, let's see what they say. Yeah, there's been a lot of tournaments. This game has, you know, it's you know, the lifetime of the game, you know, especially an indie game. I'm really surprised at how well Offworld has done for itself, and that it's able to keep going like this.
Well, you know, the community wants to keep playing it.
I guess so. I guess so.
Keep running the tournaments. It's fine.
But I mean, even we're still putting out DLC. We're still putting out other things like that.
Well, that's true.
So you know,
That's true.
you know, there's money on the development side as well as, you know, loyalty on the community side. It's always nice to see.
I make no comment.
Or Stardock's just insane. But I won't be mean. Except I already was.
I don't see Rhahi in the list in Discord. I'm just going to make it, and then she can pop in and talk.
And
Map, I
usually
should've
these
made it.
players have liked Mars historically, so I would...
Yeah, but if I'm Rhahi, and Offworlds have been the bane of my existence
maybe...
for the last 2 games, maybe I'm thinking about throwing DT a curveball and just being like, screw it,
IO.
it's IO time. Yeah.
Let's
this
do
one.
transparent aluminum rushing.
Hey, at least that's nowhere near as good as it used to be. Serious, says Rhahi.
Sirius is right, okay. I don't know the map series.
Yeah, I think it is a
Says-
fair point that
says
I'm pretty sure DT does not like series at all. I'll make Rhahi an observer just for the fun of it.
Seems reasonable.
I think DT's a little more comfortable on than on series.
Hey, yeah. Well, hey, Rhahi, if you want to, step down and let me go against DT, that'd be, dumb and silly and definitely lose you the tournament, so.
All right, we've got team 4 and 9, so I think that's adequate. Not team 1 and 2 that it's going to upset somebody.
Probably. Good luck, have fun.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to game number 3, potentially the last game in our best of 5 series between Rhahi and DeathTacticus. DeathTacticus is up 2-0. From here on out, he'll just be looking to close it out, and Rahi's got a pretty large hill to climb up if she wants to be the winner of this series. PB is still here with us, and speaking of series...
Still having fun.
That's good, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm still having fun, too. There's more uranium combos over here. Steel is starting pricey. There is a scavenger available, though, so I imagine DT is going to take that one. We'll see what.
Wait for the Rhahi found on the...
Although, underground nukes.
Probably, I would imagine robotic, right?
I mean, I always like robotic on series, especially because prices can go a little nuts, get completely out of control.
Yeah.
And so not having to deal with debt is
power
certainly
starting
nice.
cheap, life support starting expensive, and debt is an issue on series for sure.
Let's see. Nomads are technically available, but don't look particularly playable to me.
Silicon situation's just nasty.
Yeah, there's also, I don't think, any salt on this particular map, which can also change up the equation sometimes. Rhahi is going to end up as our scavenger. That's not where I was expecting that
No,
to be.
not at all. Low carbons instead of the mediums.
Yeah, I'm quite worried about how that's going to play with nukes this game. She's only got 5 carbon tiles to work with there. So nuking that out seems quite viable this game. We'll have to see how it ends up panning out. DT, meanwhile, founds in the aluminum iron field.
Yeah, it's
Or
going to
not
be
aluminum iron, uranium iron. but
relatively slow expand for him, though, because he's got to make a lot of steel, and it's expensive.
still, he absolutely has to make a lot of steel. But founding second, Rhahi is not cause much trouble
Rhahi
with this
founded
for
first.
a very long time. Yeah, Rhahi did found first, precisely.
Okay. Sorry.
So he should be safe. He should be safe for a while. He shouldn't have to worry about a power surge ripping through before he can manage to get up
Fair enough.
an HQ level. All right, grabs an extra claim right away. Wonder what we're going to see out of that. Is that aluminum? Yeah. Just an aluminum claim. That's fair.
He
That's
did
fine.
get the buy, or at least somewhat. He has his 80 aluminum, so I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah,
it's
he's got his
happening,
80. Well, I mean, it's just an extra claim. You know, if you're expecting the game to go long, this is series, and so on average, on series, a claim tends to be more valuable than on
Mars.
your other maps, and especially Mars. So I'm not really too surprised by it. It does delay his upgrade just a little bit, but he's still going to get there. Be able to set up some iron and some split steel, I'd imagine.
Got there.
Oh, we're actually going to split iron and split steel. Fair enough.
He's definitely curious on
Decide.
where to put all those buildings. I guess he
Yeah,
wanted
I
the
think
ice for the solar
ice
condensers.
is
Makes
what,
sense.
Yeah, the ice is what was tripping him up because he was like, I really want to use this ice and I want to like keep stuff spread out a little bit. Didn't want to put his steel that close to the iron, but without EMPs sitting around, not really that big a deal. Rhahi, meanwhile, just powering on ahead to HQ3, that cheap glass and easy to access carbon, certainly paying off right now.
Mm-hmm.
A little concerned about this farm placement, though. I don't really like it too much.
Yeah, it seems a little bit vulnerable to power surges and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to use your aluminum for that and then having to expand back into the aluminum, this is extremely vulnerable to a power surge, I would say. Not a pleasant spot to be in at all, and it's a very heavy commitment into food for this stage of the game.
And DT has the money. If he wants to smack it, he can.
Yeah, but he's building this nuclear plant. That's kind of pricey. He's probably want to give it a friend soon. That's also going to be pricey. And most of the rest of what he's got grabbed up is glass right now, so I guess we'll see what happens, but I'm not too surprised he hasn't gotten aggressive just yet. He has picked up 2 claims so far to Rhahi's 0. So he's like 4 claims ahead once he gets to HQ3. That's, ugh,
And not too many claims behind right now.
4 or 5? Something like that. Anyway. Yeah, not too many claims behind right now, exactly.
But he is doing this thing where he is using the nuclear plant to now churn through debt since he just got this auction. And that's
Well,
just
and it's
never
not
good.
covering his power price anyway, so it's
That's
just kind of an almost dead building right now.
Yeah.
It's going to need rent
And Rhahi
someday.
is making a lot of money with these farms.
Black market is open.
I think Rhahi has a good chance this game. A really good chance.
Yeah, she's got the glass that she needs. I hope she has a plan for the late game. That's my big concern. And if she let that auction go by at 24,000, I'm expecting her to try and make money on HQ4 on power. I mean, there are offices at the colony. It is, of course, Ceres, and so you also have this garage that's popped itself out and an electrolysis reactor. So that's a fair amount of power consumption over there.
Yeah.
The black market is
We'll have
online.
to see how she works with it.
A full expansion ahead, but
happening over here?
basically even on claims.
What is this nonsense, DT?
The farms seem a little late, but Rhahi
Okay.
going into the double farms instead of the triple farms.
Now it makes a little bit more sense. All right. Now we're moving into a nuclear plant. That's more the kind of thing I would have expected to see. All right. We've got the line of nuclear plants coming up for DT. Rahi's trying to get the pair down. That's not going to work out particularly well for her. I don't think. They're late. They're not particularly well defended. The power surge is not going to hit much of consequence. And yeah, Rhahi not able to even get the second nuclear plant up to provide adjacency bonuses to the first. She's not in it looking good when it comes to making that power money.
Nope.
But she's
not at
looking
all.
good in other ways. 1 HQ level ahead. And that's about it.
But yeah, they're with the expansive and all the claims that are bought, they're basically even on claims.
Even. Yeah, they're basically even. So arguably, that's a pretty bad spot for Rhahi to be in. Because it means DT has a lot more potential left at this stage of the game and is not far behind on actual income.
Is also holding that food. Oh, well, now he's not. Holding the food price on Rhahi, but that is no longer the case. Yes, again, if you do not sell out, you're just losing that money when you get
Well,
repeat
the
left.
carbon shortage at least is nice for Rhahi. She'll be able to exploit that to some degree. DT's trying to make some small purchases in here.
And he sells out relatively soon.
Yeah, he probably made like $100 off that. You know,
Definitely worth it.
yeah, totally worth 100%.
You know, just just the amount of sheer focus that you need.
There it is.
There we go.
Waiting for that.
1
to
out
get
of 5. See how it
Yep.
goes here.
started. 1 down, 4 to go.
It is online.
Yep. And
Oh, so she really wants that uranium. She's defended it with a nuke core. I guess she just expects that if another nuke comes down, it'll be targeting the uranium carbon rather than anything else. Pleasure Dome auction is interesting.
yeah, unfortunately, none of these tiles can be converted to ice, despite being right next to the ice condensers.
Right next to.
Yeah.
No ice on them themselves. Yeah, 32k, 36. This actually seems pretty reasonable.
None of them have a lot of debt right now. Yeah. Power is coming
Yeah.
down. 48, 56.
All right, now we might have gotten unreasonable. $56,000 for that Pleasure Dome. I mean, I know power is on the way out, and man, that feels scary to me.
Yep. From a solid A to a solid B.
Yeah, just uncomfortable amount of debt to take that for. Patent Lab coming out for Rhahi. So I guess she's got a different plan this time around. Nanotech and Slant Drilling both already queued up. DT struggling to make money. He managed to get into plenty of power, but never managed to turn through all his debt. And with his farms consistently being frozen, he's just not able to make that cash for the moment. It's keeping him from doing something like getting into a patent lab himself and really competing at this stage.
DT did try to hoard the chemicals, but I think Rhahi got the patents queued up before that went through.
Yeah, she had those queued up so fast that I don't think there's any way he got that buy done first. More nukes coming down. This is why I'm scared for Rhahi.
Let's get our sight.
Slant drilling to sort of undo some of those nukes, but not all
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, slant drilling definitely helps with that. I mean, it means he has to nuke out all 5 times. Problem is, that's actually feasible this game. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing you can actually do.
Oh yeah, and with their lows anyway, I would rather just seen teleportation and then on HQ level 5 take the high cut tile over there, and then just be like, okay, I mean you nuked out all these tiles, now I'm gonna take these tiles.
Yeah, that's something I was considering. Heavy commitment, and it does mean that you need to kind of be patient with HQ5 claims potentially. But maybe it's all right. Maybe it is something you can actually pull. Game off-world still not looking too interesting. That said, off-worlds are reasonably cheap, just because I believe glass started cheap and the electronics started cheap, and neither of them have been getting pushed up
By the
by the colony at all, so it's just the natural growth combined with the upgrades. But oh man, this is where you see the underground nukes, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Rhahi has upgraded, and now carbon
And-
costs $104.
Yeah, I want to see.
But slant drilling.
Slant drilling. Indeed, but DT doesn't quite know that yet. But let's see,
There it is.
There.
And nanotech also, of course, helps with this problem. It makes sure that you can continue to make those rotations and it's going to be all right moving. I'm a little bit concerned about Raihi's water situation. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. She's got both water pumps and solar condensers active for the time being. I always like water pumps as the scavenger, of course, because you don't have to deal with the diminishing resources. The local authorities are feeling generous this game.
Apparently. Let's see.
I always like it when the local authorities are feeling generous. It's one of the more pleasant random events that occur.
Yeah, it does, sort of keep prices down, if you will, because, well, with lots of extra claims, you have lots of extra reduction, and prices don't quite get as high. Just with both bribes and claims on market and expansive, prices do seem lower than I'm used to on series, but I could be wrong.
No, I'll agree. Prices seem lower than I'm used to seeing them on series. These players have, and I think part of that is just because DT keeps buying up claims rather than upgrading. And once again, that's another thing that has an interesting effect on prices, because if you're upgrading, you're adding to your life support costs. That adds consumption to the map. That raises prices even further. Whereas if you're buying claims, it's kind of the opposite effect. You're adding production to the map rather than consumption. So those prices just stay low. Wow, more carbon coming down. Oh. All right, so DT has basically telegraphed, I'm committed to this. Or he has not yet realized that there's still like a carbon under
The patent lab.
the patent lab there. Yeah, because with that particular hit, it just says, all right, I'm nuking all of these. Otherwise, it was literally just a waste of a cooldown and like $7,000.
The late game is down. We have Hacker Ray for DT and optimizations for Rhahi.
Yeah, and an optimization center coming up for DT somewhere.
Huge O2 buy by DT.
There it is. Yeah, sure, fair enough. I mean, there's a short going on. Why not? Rhahi's just auto-selling down, so this isn't really going to be a big deal. Rhahi's still with one claim remaining. Might have purchased that quite recently. 35 left on thinking machines, so maybe we are still looking at off-worlds this game.
The farms are auto-off for both of our players.
Reactors are auto-off as well, so,
Tiles!
they came back on. $5.
And
So, if I'm Rhahi right now, am I thinking about maybe nuking my opponent's water? Yeah, I'm liking that, personally.
And DT does have access to some good ice tiles, but...
He does, but what's he going to do with those tiles? That's just like a tile that you're deleting. I like that idea. Well, thinking machines finished up for Rhahi. Virtual reality on the way.
And Rhahi,
nice.
Rhahi now has the nuke for the nuke on the water tile if she wants it. Since DT tried to nuke out the patent lab.
Oh, did he? All right, well, yep. I mean, I don't see anything else to really nuke. Uranium and iron gathered up. Done over there. Maybe you nuke out his carbon after it's depleted itself a little bit. Or nuke's coming down. He is committed to this.
Yeah.
So that means that Rhahi actually only has one tile remaining over here that is effective at carbon production. And it's a metal mine right now.
No, there's the metal mine and the glass kiln. The glass kiln would work too.
Oh, the glass kiln would work too. That's correct.
But still, that's really bad.
they're not making carbon at the moment, and that feels like the key there, the trick. Nanotech potentially going to play a huge
All
role.
5 of these tiles doing nothing.
Yeah. Also, oh man, DT is such a cash lead right now. This is just all his claims really kicking in. He had a huge amount of water production going for a while there. He made sure to secure plenty of carbon while Rhahi was getting nuked out. He made sure to secure silicon. He's just got everything. He's got all the stuff.
And there's
The
the
way
5th
that
nuke.
the expansives are wont to do.
The 5th nuke has dropped.
Which is actually the 6th nuke. Just saying. He had to nuke 6 times to get all that done. Because one of them bounced.
Actually, I think he might have used the circuit overload to clear the patent lab.
You're probably right.
Because
Well, neither
Rhahi
of us
now
were paying
has...
attention.
Yeah, Rhahi now
I
has...
just chose to trust you.
I'm sorry, that's a bad
you
idea
know.
there.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll probably not actually learn my lesson. DT, once again, we're seeing off-world overtures by both of these players based on the resources that they're choosing to hold for the time being, so we are potentially going to have one of those games. Nowhere near as profitable this time around, though. I'm wondering if the optimizations are going to be enough to kind of like hang on and hold through. Cash is
Mutinies and
pretty
goons
similar.
are still very cheap, as well as power surges. So.
Yeah, and if I'm Rhahi, man, I really don't want to... I mean, nanotech is great and all, but if we go and we look, that off-world is going to cost $120,000 because of carbon, right? When you don't have that significant carbon stockpile, that price can go nuts very quickly, and Rhahi, unfortunately, in a really bad spot when it comes to carbon production. She's going to try
Mutinies
and
on the
start
carbon.
fixing it.
Yeah, mutinies on the
Yeah.
carbon, putting down a carbon tile. So.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, because DT got a hold of the high carbon, it will continue to diminish this game. So I don't even know if this is the direction you want to go with this, or if you would instead want to simply slant drill the medium that's going to stay there for the remainder of the game unless it also were to get nuked. The advantage of being over here is you're far more resistant to any more follow-up nukes that DT could throw at you, because that's still entirely feasible. Nukes only at 25,000 for him.
Yeah, and
Getting 2 more of those done pretty easy.
Yeah, and she still didn't get teleportation, so this, the fuel costs are getting a little high for both these players actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with the decision to scrap out of the patent lab before teleportation, and maybe even liquid batteries was picked up this game. She did have some ice that she was relying on, but the slant drill water is probably fine. But realistically, teleportation almost certainly should have happened, and if you're looking at an off-world game, transparent aluminum almost certainly should have happened as well. I mean, it's not near as good, but it's still real strong to 100 glass. No one bids on the auction. All right, fair enough.
Well, I mean, I guess so. And if I didn't want teleportation, why would you want nuclear engines, huh? Oxygen is the launch, so the idea is that I guess fuel is going to be cheap anyway. DeathTacticus
I mean,
is actually shipping
that's an
water.
argument you can make. But, I mean, there are other shipments, right? The shipments were so low that, like, none of them are going to stick around for all that long. And realistically, chems could be a surprisingly valuable shipment if you chose to kind of play with that market. And you could potentially overproduce chems, hack chems up, and launch chems all at the same time. Kind of mess with your opponent that way while they're still trying to optimize things, and it gets complicated. Now, what's not complicated is 2 off-worlds, generally better than 1.
Rhahi's getting the second too. And they're also undefended. But,
Yeah, that's the thing to me. There are holograms available. There are power surges available. Goons are only 16. I'm a little concerned about this idea that the off-worlds are completely undefended right now. Not even...
will Rhahi spot the suspiciously slow-building metal mine?
That's a good question. Somehow, I don't know if it matters. DT just has a massive cash lead once again.
He really
and
does.
he's actually doing the whole setting in chems thing, and I don't know what he's launching. It looks like it's still water for the time being. That's probably like 100% incorrect at this point to be launching, but I don't know that it matters. I think chems are likely the better launch, but that's fine. Well, in any case, DT now with a massive stock lead that he's gotten from his large cash lead, he's going to have a truly ridiculous number of claims compared to Rhahi. So, of course, restricted on what you can do with the claims after half of them have been nuked to oblivion.
The mutiny on the metal mine is, well, sort of. It looks like she saw the slow-building metal mine, but forgot which one it was.
That might have happened. I don't know, because that's an interesting metal mine mutiny.
Indeed.
Not going to be getting a whole lot done, unfortunately. I will give her this. She managed to keep carbon in check and get the off-worlds up, which I was concerned about in the first place.
Yeah, indeed.
I guess you can also say, in defense of not defending, have thinking machines, it's certainly
Yep.
a more viable option. But I think if you've got thinking machines, you really want to be watching out for your opponent's off-world to try and press the advantage with that. Because you can afford to maybe, if you're in this spot already, maybe you can afford to go ahead and throw a nuke at your opponent, get your water nuked out so that you're just operating on lows, not pleasant, but open up the off-world to more potential mutinies later on. Just
None of these off-worlds are nukeable, however. They're both managed to
are they
dodge the
not?
resources. Yep.
Make room for the
I thought one of them looked like a metal mine at some point, but
Well, the metal mine apparently.
for business.
That is interesting.
well, it looks like a nuclear plant. I'm gonna stop trusting you for the rest of the.
It did look like a metal mine. I'm not insane. It did look like a metal mine,
I'm
and
gonna stop
it.
trusting you forever.
Look, you can
Literally.
swap the holograms. That is a game mechanic that they implemented. That you can swap the holograms.
Literally all of the forevers.
Oh well.
Really like this metal mine, by the way. Out of Rhahi, that's on the ice, and it's slant drilling the low iron and the
Trace.
particularly trace uranium. I like it. Look, this one's actually turning out to be a lot closer than I expected it to be. DT, though, still has a significant stock advantage, both in price and number purchased, and a cash advantage. So I really doubt Rahi's going to manage to turn it around, but she's doing a good job trying to hold on.
This water price is $100, and they're both holding it. It reminds me of Bitcoin.
The black market is online.
Fair. That's fair. DT with perfect power optimization.
The optimization center is online. Let the plan.
All right, sure, fair enough. Why not? Couldn't see what Rhahi with a far more standard optimizations that you would expect to see. I want to point out that oxygen and fuel have gone a little bit nuts at this point, which kind of is to be expected when both players were making chems for a while there. In addition to all this shipping, more nukes coming down.
Looks like Rhahi got the cell on the water. Or no, DeathTacticus got the cell on the water.
Yeah, Rahi's nuked out the water. I mean, they're both just launching water like crazy, which does make sense. I mean, water's the strong launch at this point, but these nukes, they're just going to be too little too late. I mean, Rhahi, she could try to make this happen, but I don't see it panning out. She'll be able to get like one more stock purchase done, but I imagine after that,
Yeah.
DT's just going to knock her right on out of this game.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate reality that there's only so high that your stock can go, and only just to stop that inevitable 500k of you
Only
lose.
so much you can do to keep your opponent from making that money. 91% of the way there is DeathTacticus. We're likely just waiting on maybe this launch to finish up. He's only got one launch running, 27 left on it. Yeah, he's sold out of every. So he is, in a lot of ways, kind of just waiting on this launch to happen, but still making plenty of money in the water when it's daytime, plenty of money in the reactors with that ridiculous fuel price. So once the launch finishes up, he should be able to get this done. Rhahi has paid down all her debt
It's just struggling
in
to
some
hold on.
fashion or another.
It's last game. You gotta try, right?
You gotta try. You gotta give it your all. There's the 100%, the red button, and DT with the sweep in the 1v1 Winter Cup Finals. He is going to be the champion.
Very nice.
This particular tournament. Very well done for DeathTacticus. Rhahi put up a fight.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's a 3-0, but it wasn't any significant stomp in particular. It all just kind of turned out where we played very similar games, 3 games in a row. And they were all, it seemed, just the kind of game that DeathTacticus had a little bit better understanding of
They're all
than Rhahi, and managed to find those little edges the whole way through to stay ahead.
the nukes were great. The classical
nukes,
off-world game, classical off-world markets.
Yeah, those were not particularly valuable off-world. They got the job done long term, but not a huge amount of money off of them. So maybe thinking machines a little bit less valuable that time around, extra claims a little bit more. Rhahi did eventually catch up in extra claim purchases to DeathTacticus, but I do want to point out we had the same number of black market purchases from both players. And that's a little bit of a problem for me, right? Because
There's a
Rhahi was
scavenger.
scavenger.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not using your advantage. But DT did play around it. He split his steel and his iron on level 1 and level 2, so you can't really attack that effectively. And then, you can't hold down the expansive. And then he had those claims early too. So even though he was level behind, he was basically level behind until level 5. He had about equal claims. So
Yeah.
still. And I wouldn't be surprised, when you see your opponent a level behind, entire level behind, when he's hitting level 3, you're hitting level 4, it's very easy to suddenly sit back and relax and say, I've got this, I don't need, I can relax a little bit. And I know I did that against my game against Rhahi, and that caused me to lose one of them.
Yeah,
but,
that's an easy way to lose games of offense.
Indeed. Indeed. You get complacent and you forget to swap your buildings. It's just over. But that was fantastic. That was a fantastic series, I think. And
It was a good series. Both players clearly deserving to be in the finals, but DT also showing that, at least at the moment, he was a little bit more ready heading into these final games.
And there is still some room for improvement when it comes to teleportation auctions. So
It's fair. Yeah. Neither of these players liked teleportation. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. Well, shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think it's time to go ahead and call this one a stream. I was prepared to go for so much longer, just in case, but turns out that it was just 3 games to finish this one up. So I guess that's where we'll have to call it. I'm sure we'll be seeing more games of for too long, though, as we do have the newcomer tournament coming up fairly soon. Is that next week already? Is that next weekend? Yeah, it is next weekend. So hey, next weekend, newcomer tournament will of course be going on. It'll probably be a bit of a different level of play than this particular one, but I do want to point out we already have 15 people signed up for that newcomers tournament, and I think sign-ups are still open. Look, don't hold me to that. It's up to Polina. She's running things. If you want to join us in that, though, you simply join us in our Discord community. And if you're new to the game and you want to give competitive games a shot, if you think you're doing pretty good, you have a decent grasp of what's going on, or if you just want people to commentate and watch your games to get a little bit better, then hey, newcomer tournament, nice place to do that. That'll be happening next weekend.
And let's be honest, Ulter, I think we all know you enjoy the slightly different level of play that those sorts of things bring.
It is an opportunity to provide education and advisement to people who normally would not get those things. And so I will absolutely take those opportunities as they come. Black Magic says, stream something else. I need to start doing that. Look. Soon. I'm trying to think of what day. Like, it can't be tomorrow, and it can't be Monday, because my wife is off work both those days. So, it's just not going to happen. Plus tomorrow, there's like some sporting event or something happen. Anyway. And maybe Tuesday, but I might be doing things on Tuesday, but I might not be doing things on Tuesday. So maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I'll try and make it happen on one of those 2 days.
Well, something to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. Something for everybody to look forward to. Well, PB, thank you for joining me.
Indeed, that was great. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too.
I did, and maybe next time we'll remember to do a sound check ahead of time.
That sounds like a good plan.
To smooth that transition. But for now, I'll go ahead and let you get out of here and get on with your life.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Say the thanks for watching. You have to say your thanks for watching.
All right, fine. You want me to finish up? I'll finish up. Thank you everyone for watching. And I'll see you next time.
There we go.